Hey guys, George Palaio. Today I want to talk about the 4 levels of belief that you have when you start in business. This could apply to your faith. This could apply to any area of your life. When I first got started, and I'm getting into entrepreneurship, I was a server. I was starting off, I was young, I was 18 years old. I hadn't built anything. I wasn't successful, had a lot of insecurity, had a lot of failure in my past, a lot of limiting beliefs. And I was level 1, I was a non-believer. I didn't really believe that I could do something more, but I hoped I was wrong. I didn't know if I could ever live in that community. We grew up in California. At that time, we'd take a drive by Beverly Hills. We'd take a drive by Malibu. And I would look at these homes and I would say, man, I don't know that I can ever live in this neighborhood. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm good enough. I didn't believe in myself enough. I had never seen somebody that was close to me that I knew who they were go on a journey to become ultra successful. So I didn't have a close enough example that I could pull from, somebody that was in my life on a day-to-day basis. You'll see people that are successful on YouTube or other areas, but they're kind of far away, so you can't really relate to that person. And so I was a non-believer. The challenge for most non-believers is because you don't believe, you never even try. Okay, you never get started. And then I remember getting started in this business in sales, in insurance sales, and it's tough, right? And I start doubting, right? Which is level 2. You're a doubter. I start doubting that I can do this. And I get to a point where I say, you know what, man, I just can't do this. And I start justifying why I'm going to quit this. I can't do it because, people don't take me serious. I can't do this because I've never had any success before. I can't do this because it's difficult and I'm talking to people and they're not, getting started. They're not becoming a client. They're not becoming a part of the agency. Like, I just can't do this. This is difficult. I don't like it. And I start creating affirmations of why this isn't for me. Well, it's just, I'm not passionate about it. And that's probably one of the things that's killed so many people in life, in business, in sales, and entrepreneurship, that they think that they're going to be passionate about every part of the process on their journey. And so I say, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. And I miss a certain meeting that we have. And I get a call from my broker and he says, hey, where you at? And first I even ignored the call. I didn't even pick up the call. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to this guy because he's great at sales and I know what he's going to do. He's going to try to convince me to keep going and keep trying this. And so I ignore the call. He calls right back. Hey, where you at? And I pick up the call. Hey, you know what? I've kind of decided this isn't for me. I know what you're going to do. At that time, I had learned the concept of overcoming objections. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way, but here's what I found. So I said, I know what you're going to do. We just trained on it the other day. You're going to feel, felt, found me. I don't want to be convinced. This is not something I'm passionate about. I'm just not going to do it. I've already made my decision. And at that time, remember, I'm really doubting, okay? In my mind, I've quit. Thank God somebody had more conviction and more belief in the business, more belief in themselves, more belief in me, that they pushed me and they challenged my decision. So he said, hey, listen, I'm not going to try to overcome your decision. If you made a decision, all good, that's your decision. But I want to ask you a question before I let you go. Right? I'm so grateful that they pushed the envelope with me, changed my life, guys. Up until that point, I had tried a lot of things and I quit a lot of things. And so he asked me a question. He says, why are you doing this business? I said, for my mom, because I want to retire my mom and my dad. I want to travel the world. I want to buy real estate. I want to have investments. I want to be wealthy at a young age. I want to be free. He says, are those things so important to you? Yeah, absolutely. They're so important to me. He says, have you found anything that has more upside that can do those things, help you accomplish those things faster? I said, no. He says, okay, perfect. He says, you're not quitting because there's a better opportunity. You're quitting because it's difficult, and that makes you a quitter. And I'm on the phone saying, man, this guy's pushing the envelope with me, but he's telling me the truth. It's a respectful tone. He's not putting me down. He's just stating the obvious. He's stating the truth. And a lot of times we don't want to hear that. Thank God for people that will tell us the truth. There's a great quote that says, praise is an affirmation, but criticism is an investment. And so I'm listening to this and he says, but let me honestly ask you a question. This is probably not the first thing that you've done that's difficult, that when it gets to a certain point of difficulty, you quit, is it? And he says, I can tell you that quitting becomes a muscle. There's a lot of things. And then he goes on to feel, felt, found me. I understand how you feel because there was a lot of things in my life that I did quit on when they got difficult. But at one point I realized that if I keep quitting, I'm going to turn that into a habit. And every time things get difficult, I'm going to quit. It doesn't matter what business I'm in, what industry I'm in. I'm going to quit at a certain level when I get to that threshold. And I had to overcome that. And now because of that, my dad's retired. And because of that, we make, multiple six-figure income. And because of that, this is what we've done. And we just traveled. We just came back from Hawaii. I took my dad because of that. And he starts going through things that he's done, that he's accomplished. And he says, listen, man, I believe in you. I can tell you're sincere. I can tell that you want to win for your family. I know you started working when you were 12 years old. I know you're a hard worker. I know you're at school, you're at a job, you're doing real estate. Like, you're willing to take more on your plate. Like, you want to be the hero to your family, right? I said, I do. He says, then dude, I understand what you're going through, but this is a moment where you get better instead of you give up. And he challenged me, and I said, man, thanks so much. I'll be there at the next training, right? And I start going through these trainings, and I get to level 3. I become a believer. So I start believing in entrepreneurship. I start believing in the process of sales that, you talk to enough people, some will say yes, some will say no, but if you do enough on the front end, that the back end takes care of itself. I start believing in the concept of planting seeds, right? That you reap, right? What you sow, or that you sow what you reap, I'm sorry. And I start understanding that there's a process to a sale. I start understanding there's a process to entrepreneurship. I start understanding that you have to start thinking further out, right? As an employee, you show up, you get paid. As an entrepreneur, you're going to do some work that may pay you in the next day, a week, a month. So you have to start really being consistent. A year from now, 6 months from now. So I start understanding and become a believer that there's a process, that if you read and you read books, that you can get better. That if you study sales, that you can get better. That if you study how to present and how to ask questions, that you can get better. That if you understand people that you're communicating with and how people make decisions, that you can get better. So I start becoming a believer in the process, and I start becoming a believer in the industry, and that insurance is good and investments are good. So I start becoming this believer, and I make 6 figures. I make $250,000, I make $500,000, and we get to $1 million income. And at that point, I remember when I was failing, and I said, man, if I'm ever going to transition out of this industry, I'm going to do it when I make $1 million. So this way I could say that it wasn't because I didn't like it, or it wasn't because I wasn't good at it. So now we get to this, 7-figure income. And I'm looking at the people that helped me get there, that helped me build the agency, people that were mentors, people that were my partners, people that were my agents. And I'm asking myself, what's my responsibility to them, because they helped me win? And as I'm processing that, man, that understanding that, hey, somebody did this for you, you got to do it for somebody else, George. There's a responsibility, to that quote that says, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? So I start understanding that. And there's an aspect that I think if you're a loyal person and you care about people and you're a good leader, that you're going to care about the people that helped you get to where you are. And so that becomes that next level of, man, I really got to come through for my guys. And then you get to a certain age in life, and that may be younger, that may be older for you. Everybody finds this moment. Not everybody does, but if they do, they may find it at a different age. So it doesn't matter if you're watching this and you're in your 60s, or you're watching this and you're 13, 14, 18 years old, 25 years old. It doesn't matter. But you get to the 4th level of belief, which is where you become mission driven. It becomes a crusade for you, right? It becomes a lifestyle. It's not something that you do, it's who you are. And you become mission driven, crusade driven. And I start understanding that, man, I really have a shot as a human being to do something great in my life and to develop other people that can do something great in their life. And I start understanding that there are certain people that have a responsibility, that God has given that responsibility to because of the talents and the gifts that they have, that their job is to go out there and transform other people's lives. And maybe you have a gift in communication. Maybe you care about people. Maybe you're very structured. Maybe you're great you're technical. Maybe you have great teamwork. And you start realizing, man, God's given me certain talents, whatever those are for you, depending on your personality type. And you start really believing that some of these dreams that you have, you can maybe accomplish them. And see, here's what happens when you get around the right people. And this is a big part of number 4, which is mission, crusade, driven person. So I get around successful people, and I start meeting people that are CEOs. I start meeting people that are running for president. I start meeting people that run companies that do $100+ million. I start meeting other people. I start meeting authors. I start meeting people that are senators. I start meeting people that are mayors. I start connecting with different people and building this network. And what I realize is that all these other people have the same 24 hours in a day that I have and that some of them, right, that we're as gifted, as talented, even maybe more, that I can perform at that level, that my level of discipline is at that level, that my level of processing is at that level. And I start realizing that I can do anything if I really want to do it, right? That's within my physical capacity. When you start to believe that you have an unlimited capacity, a different version of you shows up, and then you want to have everybody experience that breakthrough. And that's for people that are on a mission, that are driven by crusade. They're doing something that's bigger than themselves. And that's why when we look at these people and we say, man, what do they have? How do they have unlimited energy? How are they so clear, right? How do they perform at that level? It's because they have something that matters to them that's more important than who they are. And they found that purpose, they found that mission, they found something that's worth dedicating their life to. And for me, as I process what's worth that, right? God, my family, and people, right? That mission field, right? That marriages can get saved, that people can get forgiveness, that people can find redemption, right? In their faith. That, man, if you have a great spouse and family, that gives you a different sense of purpose and a different level of peace in your life when you have the right person. And what does it take to make that relationship work? And then human beings that are looking for leadership and looking for opportunities. And you start understanding that there's a responsibility to change their lives because somebody's done that for you. So wherever you are right now, if you're a non-believer, if you're a doubter, if you're a believer, or if you're at the point of your life where it's mission and purpose, man, great job for you being willing to go through the journey, because some people may find it sooner. For me, I found that years into my career, 17, 18 years into my career, I've recreated myself. So it took me a little bit longer than somebody else, but I didn't quit along the way. I've never been the fastest, right? And other people could say, hey, you're not the fastest, and you're absolutely right. But man, I'm gonna stick it out and I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna make it work. I'm not gonna quit, because I used to be a quitter and I wanted to change that. I started this whole video with telling you that I was a quitter. So if that's you right now and you quit when things get hard, man, I was in your shoes. I was you, right? And you have the ability to change that if you want to. So I hope you're willing to go on this journey and get to that fourth level of your life. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm still seeking to find that, what that next purpose, what that next mission is. And I think when we are at that level in life, you have an unfair advantage just because you're clear and you're operating from something that's different than material things. You're operating from something that's spiritual, something that truly matters to you, that's in your core. Maybe it's something that you're super passionate about, and that's not easy to find. When I talk to these guys, it's like, man, once you find it, which is one of the hardest things of what really matters to you, right? Then running for that's a lot easier. But a lot of people don't want to do that work. And for those of you guys, if you're doing great financially, it's easy when you win to not find that purpose or that mission or that crusade. Why? Because life is great, big house, nice cars, boats, vacations, great food, restaurants, clubs, concerts, shows, games, luxury, all that stuff is awesome, right? But that next one, man, that's where you start changing other people's lives. So hopefully this video helps you wherever you are. Try to get to that next level, guys. Take care. We'll see you on the next video.